Hey there, welcome to I fucked up my eyebrows. Something is off, and I don't know how to fix it. I'm stalling, and there's a reason for that. As the title suggests, I'm getting an IUD in 3 hours. I heard they're painful, and I don't like to be in pain. Wanted to make this video to share not only what an IUD is and why some people get it and why I'm getting it, but to also sort of take you with me. I probably can't record the actual doctor's office, but I'm hoping to be able to vlog a little bit on my phone or something after it happens and be able to talk you guys through exactly what I'm experiencing. So, the IUD, what is it? It stands for intrauterine device, and as the name suggests, it's a little device, it's a little T-shape that gets inserted into your uterus. Not quite with as much force as I just suggested. There are a few different kinds of IUDs. I'll be getting the non-hormonal IUD, which is, the brand name is Paragard, but it's called Copper T380A. Copper, that's the thing that keeps you from getting pregnant. Acts as both a sperm killer and as like a barrier. It creates like an extra mucous membrane layer, which is a weird thing to say, to sort of prevent sperm from entering the fallopian tubes and making the eggy with the, well, making the, with the egg and the, I'm not a sex educator. It keeps you from getting pregnant. Now, having said that, there are a couple of other types of IUDs that are hormonal, so they don't use copper to prevent pregnancy. They use hormones, the way you might find in a hormonal birth control pill. And what those do is release a steady stream of hormones to prevent pregnancy. Each IUD that is available in the US lasts a different amount of time. So the Paragard that I'm getting is the longest one. It's about 10 years or so. Mirena is about a 5-year one, and then Skyla is about a 2 to 3 year one. This little T-shaped device is inserted at your doctor's office, at your gynecologist's office. So, you're up there, splayed, and, they put the little clamp there and put in this tube, and inside the tube is the device. So, they'll gently insert the tube and then push the device into your uterus. There's a small string that comes out of the device, or comes down from the device, that hangs in your vagina, and that's the string that you will be using from now on to just check and make sure everything is in the right spot. You do your own checks with an IUD once a month or so to make sure it hasn't moved. I mean, it's going to be an uncomfortable experience. This is what my doctor has explained to me. It doesn't feel good. Your body is also going to be like, what the fuck? In other words, you'll be getting bad cramps. That's the part that I'm a little nervous about. I haven't had cramps in a really long time because I've barely gotten a period because I was on hormonal birth control. Let's talk a bit about why some people might consider getting an IUD. First and foremost, it's like 99.99% effective in preventing pregnancy, and it's one of the longer lasting and like most carefree forms of birth control, in that once it's in, as long as it stays in, you're good to go for years. What some people like about Paragard in particular is the fact that it's non-hormonal, which means that you're not dealing with some of the murkier side effects of a hormonal pill, those being, for me anyway, dips in my emotional roller coaster. I always like to say it's not that I wasn't an emotional person before I started taking the pill, it's just that the intensity of my emotions noticeably increased. Yeah, I don't know what it was about hormonal birth control, but even when I was taking low estrogen, which is like the lowest dose of estrogen or something, I was like angry 1 minute, sad the next, and then happy, but within literally a 3-minute time span. You don't think it's gonna happen to you until you're on birth control, and you're like, why am I acting this way? The Paragard is a nifty option if you don't want to deal with hormones anymore, and if you want to get a monthly period, for example. Some people don't want to get a monthly period, and they'll opt for hormonal IUDs. or hormonal birth control pills that, decrease the flow or the strength of their period. I don't like not getting the period, mostly because I'm sort of paranoid and I think that I must be pregnant, which is impossible if I'm taking the pill, but still. Other people get the IUD because they've already had a few kids and they're done now, and they want something that is going to protect them, I guess, against an unwanted pregnancy. In the past, actually, IUDs were only recommended for women who had already had children, but that's changed a lot as, more research comes out. While it's still recommended for women who have already had children, IUDs are now more and more being inserted into women or people who haven't had children. Which brings me into why I specifically decided to get the Paragard IUD. My insurance company is not covering my birth control. One of the practical reasons why I want this is because I know it's covered by my insurance. It's a one-time thing, like a one-shot deal. I don't have to go back to the pharmacy every month, pay $50 every month for my pills, which I realize is not what everyone pays, in that some people pay less, but also some people pay more. They're up to about $140 a month without insurance, which is rather absurd. Another reason why I'm comfortable with getting the non-hormonal IUD is because, like I said earlier, I like having a period. It makes me feel like everything is going well, that everything is running smoothly. Some people don't need to have a period to feel that way. I do. It doesn't protect against STIs, which is it's worth mentioning because that's important. If you're having sex with multiple people, you might still want to wear a condom. You should wear a condom. You should wear one. Wear one, wear one. But if you're not, if you're just having sex with one person and they're just having sex with you, then, and there's no risk of STIs, then it's a decent choice, to select something other than condoms for your birth control. So that, coupled with the fact that I was looking for a non-hormonal method, is the reason that I selected Paragard along with my doctor. He and I sat down for quite a bit and discussed all of my options and the pros and the cons. Speaking of cons, probably the number one drawback for me is the pain involved in insertion, and I haven't even experienced it yet, but I can already tell that that's gonna suck. Of course, there is the chance that it'll get dislodged or fall out of place. This is more likely in people who haven't had children or who are under the age of 20, I think my doctor said. So I'm not under the age of 20, but I haven't had children. So there is an increased chance that it might dislodge during a period or something like that, which is apparently not the case in women or people who've had kids. Overall, I just wanted to sort of take control of my reproduction in a way that felt right for me, because hormonal birth control has never felt right for me. It's just been what I felt like I had to do. I'm older now, a little bit older. I've done a little bit more research. I found a gynecologist who I like, which is apparently a task. So I now feel rather confident in this decision, and it feels good to be able to take control. So without further ado, let's do this. So, it's the next day. Sorry that I didn't vlog right afterwards, but I couldn't. There was no way that was happening. As soon as I got back, my boyfriend came and picked me up, which was great, and he drove me back to his place, and I've just been laying around treating the pain like I would any other bad period cramps that I had, and it seems to be working. The cramps are subsiding, but the insertion was 100% the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life. I've been in pain. I've had mono, which was to date the most painful thing that's ever happened to me. And this was worse. This lasted a lot less. This was about 2 solid minutes of pure pain. But oh my God, were you aware of your uterus? So it's been a full 48 hours almost since I got the IUD in, and I just wanted to give another update because obviously I wasn't really able to vlog much at all, which is really disappointing. The pain was not at all what I was expecting. I would say that when I was up in the stirrups, and not the stirrups, but, well, you know, I was up and he was in there, the pain lasted for a total of about 1.5 to 2 minutes of just like really intense, like maybe top 3 worst pains I've ever experienced in my life. Like I said, maybe top. It might be top. And it hurt. It hurt a lot. And I remember looking at the nurse practitioner who was in there, and I was like, oh, oh my God. Like, I think I said that, and my hands were like folded like on my chest, and I was just like clenching, like, oh my God. And the nurse goes, breathe, breathe, just breathe. And I was like staring at this woman in the face, like, like breathing at her. And then it was over. And, you know, and he basically, the doctor was like, all right, like, you're good to go. He showed me a sonogram before and after. And he said, like, the after sonogram of my uterus, he was like, it's in correctly. Now we just watch. The 2 things that they're most afraid of are, like, expulsion, like that it'll get dislodged or come out, and infection. So he said they took some cultures before it actually happened to, like, make sure I didn't already have an infection. Shocker, I don't have an STI. That's exciting. But also just to see, like, to make sure that no infection occurred as a result of this procedure. So that was everything in the office. Like, he sent me home. I was able to just stand up normally. Initially, no pain. I was like, huh, I thought I was going to be like cramping, like bleeding, like dying, you know, and I walk out and my boyfriend is there with the car, and that's, as I was walking, that's when I started to feel like what you might think of as a typical period cramp. So if you have cramps, you know the feeling. I would say at its worst, the cramps felt like day 1, like more severe day 1 period cramps. That's what it felt like. I would say that I almost, like, for a few hours, I would like think about it and cringe a little. Like, I was like, oh my God, that happened. Like, he was in my uterus. Like, ugh. But then it just, I like, okay, it happened. I'm dealing with some cramps, but now it's over. And I was like prepared for this to be the worst pain ever. Like, can't walk, can't move type pain. And the cramps were really not, they were never unmanageable. It did help to do everything that you would for a regular monthly period. So I took some Advil, I had a heating pad, and I just lied down. Like, I ate a little bit. And after a few hours, it was fine. Like, I woke up the next morning with some cramps, and then they dissipated. And even last night, I don't really remember having cramps. I stopped taking Advil at like 1:45 p.m. That was my last Advil dose or whatever. And then this morning I woke up with cramps again, but then it was gone. And then, you know, I noticed that like my body, like I was having a period, which is expected. Like, you're supposed to go when you are expecting a period or like are on it already. So that was no surprise that it looked like I was having a period or whatever. But I don't know, overall, like, knowing now that as long as it doesn't get, that it doesn't move, which I have a follow-up appointment in a few weeks, but knowing that as long as it doesn't move, that I'm good for 10 years now, I'm so pleased with this decision. I feel like I'll have more to say next time I'm expecting my period to, like, give you an idea of what my new periods are like, because they're supposedly a little bit worse, like in terms of cramping and stuff, but we'll see. You know, people have told me that for like a month I should just expect to be in pain, and So far, so good, thankfully, you know? And I know that everyone's experience is different, but mine seems to have been pretty okay. And a good friend of mine actually got an IUD the same day as I did, and we like, it was a total coincidence. We like totally didn't know that that was happening. But she got a different one. And she was telling me, you know, similar story. Like, yeah, it was bad cramps. It was a feeling like something was there, even though technically, like, it's not like we could feel it, but it felt like something was there. And just dealing with it like you would a regular period, and then it's sort of being done and like not a big deal. So I'm so excited. Don't have to be afraid. You just have to find a good doctor and maybe take off the next day. Maybe not. Maybe you don't even have to do that, but I'd say that give yourself benefit, like give yourself the chance to maybe recuperate just a little bit, you know, just like so that you don't feel like shit and have to do stuff. You know, I'm glad I got to talk about my first my getting an IUD experience. This is something that I've talked about for a long time and never really considered for real until quite recently. So I'm glad that I was able to share it. If any questions you have, I'll do my best to answer them. And if this was helpful, you know, like it, share it, or not. That's a thing that people on YouTube say, right? Okay.